Residents and visitors of the city of Miami face many threats to life as they know it. Taking steps to becoming more sustainable may help them prolong the life of their city. The biggest problem facing Miami today is rising sea levels. Sea level rise in the city is occurring at a rate faster than the global average, and its effects will impact Miami more than most other cities in the United States. Overdevelopment and destruction of natural barriers pose the second challenge to Miami. The city needs to focus on revitalization if they want to continue to be protected by their natural defense system. The last main challenge Miami faces is their abysmal public transportation system. Inaccessibility and poor management means Miami has so far remained car dependent. Miami has attempted to combat the flooding problem with sea walls and raised roads, but these are all just delaying the inevitable. Rising seawater infiltrates freshwater aquifers, contaminating drinking water and flooding areas with tainted water. Sea level rise particularly affects minority communities, which creates an equity issue. Previously undesirable inland areas that were relegated to minority communities are quickly being bought up by the wealthy coastal dwellers hoping to escape from flooding. This has forced out the previous residents and created a housing crisis for low-income and minority communities. Right now, Miami cannot do much to prevent the imminent danger of the ocean. What's left is mostly disaster mitigation. In order to save the remaining amount of fresh water, Miami needs to promote and employ wastewater recycling practices, improve freshwater conservation efforts, and protect remaining aquifers. To address the housing crisis, Miami needs to better protect its existing homeowners with affordable housing subsidization, limitations on suburbanization, and tax programs to protect its low-income residents. Miami should put pressure on developers to give back to the community in exchange for development rights and prohibit large-scale luxury development along coastlines. Mangrove destruction poses a big problem for the city, as mangroves are vital to the Florida ecosystem. They stabilize the coast from erosion from storms and flooding, provide homes for Miami's many native plants and animals, and filter water along the coastline. The natural coast of Miami is slowly being eaten away by development and climate change. Developers have destroyed much of the coastal Everglade forest to make room for more coastline development, and in the process have made themselves even more vulnerable. This aligns with the resource conflict of the sustainability triangle. A mutually positive relationship between the natural ecosystem and the urban landscape must be reached to best benefit the city of Miami. Miami can begin fixing their natural defense system by limiting development along the coastline, and they can achieve this by rezoning certain wetland and coastal areas. A major revitalization and protection effort needs to be initiated as well, and the city of Miami should start heavily funding the reconstruction of the Everglades. Miami faces a large transportation problem. In terms of public transportation, buses and trains are constantly late or even missing, the routes are not practical for any rider, and the quality is mediocre at best. The city prioritizes automobile transportation and suffers from some of the worst road congestion in the country. Instead of providing alternative routes, they have primarily invested in expanding freeways, creating an even bigger problem. Expanding roads does not help congestion, as adding lanes often just encourages more drivers. Long-term transportation solutions for Miami involve creating a raised rail system using funds previously diverted to highway building. Public transportation should be encouraged, and incentives such as discounted prices during flooding may help prevent walking through contaminated water. Short-term solutions would be to increase the efficiency of bus routes and create bus lanes. Another option is to block cars on roads near coastal areas to encourage other methods of transportation such as transit, biking, or walking. This could help prevent further infrastructure deterioration as well. If nothing is done, Miami will experience serious flooding and land loss by 2050, as sea level rise is projected to increase to almost a foot. People will continue to move inland, pushing out low-income communities, causing major inequalities and risking the lives of low-income families. Much of Miami's mangroves will be underwater as well, leaving the coastline extremely vulnerable to storms and destroying a major Florida ecosystem. Roads will experience serious flooding, expanded highways and roadways will lead to continuously increasing traffic volumes, and driving will not be an option many days out of the year due to flooding. Taking certain steps can help Miami become more sustainable and save their city. Implementing water conservation policies will help protect the drinking water, and homeowner protection will help prevent climate gentrification and the overdevelopment of the coastline. Protection and restoration of the ecosystem will protect the biodiversity of Miami and reduce the impact of storms and floods, as the mangrove forests can act as a strong natural seawall. Improvements in public transportation will make the system a more efficient and viable option for Miami residents, decreasing car usage, which will also decrease the amount of pollution released into the air, making a healthier environment. Citizens will benefit from fewer vehicle accidents and decreased transportation costs. Under our policies, Miami will become more sustainable economically, environmentally, and equitably.